Today we are going to be unboxing my new blanket. It arrived today, but it could have arrived any day between Monday and Wednesday. So when the UPS man came, he knocked on the door and I thought it was my neighbor's door that was being knocked on. So when my dog started barking, I just told him to stop barking, to hush, but I didn't go over to answer the door. It's my new house, so I'm not really used to what it sounds like when someone knocks on the door. And then a couple minutes later, I got a text message from Amazon saying that my package had arrived. And I've been waiting for this blanket for a little bit over a week now. So I'm really excited that it's here. In California, it's known for being warm, but I live in San Diego, so since it's in the desert, it's warm during the day, but then once the sun goes down, the temperature drops a lot, so it can be like 80 during the day, but then drop to like in the 50s at night, so it can get pretty chilly. And I've had the same blanket for like 3 years now, and it's just not warm enough. This is a down alternative comforter. I did a lot of research before I bought this. I get kind of like a little obsessed with reading reviews for a product before I buy it, and just like scroll around to different products that are similar and compare all the different reviews until I find the one that has the least amount of bad reviews. So there went a lot of thought into this, and what the reviews said was that it is the closest you can get to having a down comforter without actually being down. It's stuffed with cotton and like polyester or something, and the liner for it is 100% cotton, and I think it's 350 thread. So when you open up the blanket, it's supposed to expand and just be really pillowy and like a big cloud. So that is my goal for my bed, for it to be a big cloud. And I almost settled for a blanket that was a little bit cheaper, but the review said that it didn't have that plushy, luxurious feeling that you get from a down comforter. And it regulates your body temperature. So it's like lightweight, but it keeps you warm, but it won't make you too hot. Like, it doesn't add too much heat to you. It just keeps you at a nice, even temperature. And I'm just doing a whole makeover on the whole apartment. It's a new color. moved in, the walls were this like tan color. It's like a latte color, like coffee with cream in it. It's like that light brown. A lot of apartments have been painted that same color. It's really common and trendy, but I wanted something a little different and a little softer and warmer and brighter, because my last apartment I never got around to painting it because I knew I was moving, but I really love it here, so I plan on staying a while, and I figured it was worth the investment to get the painting out of the way and done right when I move in. And the color that I picked for my bedroom, it's a little dark right now because I changed the lighting, but you can really see it during the day with the natural light. It's this very like creamy, it's like peaches and cream almost. It's very light orange. And when I was painting, it felt like I was icing a big cake because the paint was just so creamy looking. And yeah, I really like it. It's called Pumpkin Essence because it's just the tiniest little essence of orange. And before I changed my sheet to white, I had red bedding. I had red bedding because I was really obsessed with the movie Amelie, and I really loved how her apartment and her bed was red. So that's why I got a red bed. But I've noticed that I'm very sensitive to colors in my house, or just in general. And ever since I got the red bedding, I feel it has had kind of a negative effect on the way I've been sleeping. So that's why I wanted to change to a white bed for a fresh start, and also to match the new paint color, and to see how it affects my sleeping, so it's a little more tranquil and not as like stimulating as the red. It was fun for a little bit, but I just needed to change. And I could always like jazz it up with some colorful pillows. I only have 2 pillows right now, but I went to my friend Beth's house the other day, and she has 14 pillows on her bed. I counted them. It's incredible. It takes up like half of the bed. It like just juts out. The whole half of her bed is covered in pillows. And she has a special little trunk that every night she puts the pillows away in the trunk, and then she takes them out at night. And I think that it's awesome to have a lot of pillows, but I don't think she is utilizing them to their full potential, because if I had 14 pillows on my bed, I would like stack them up and like make a little pillow fort and just like burrow underneath them, get some flashlights, and I would like lay them all on the bed, and just like you can like lay on your stomach and read books. Yeah, I would go nuts with all the pillows, but she keeps everything very neat at her house. I was really impressed. I'm getting there. I'm still trying to be more adult with my decisions in the way I decorate and organize my house. I'm getting there little by little. And this comforter is going to be a great step. So I have this box cutter, which sometimes it's a little tricky to open. I did it. Okay. So I don't open a lot of boxes with box cutters, so this might take me a little bit. I love shopping online and getting boxes delivered to your house because it feels like Christmas all the time. It's the best feeling. have paper. It's similar to like grocery store paper. It's something soft and fluffy. It's exactly what I want. It is 100% combined cotton, woven of fine cotton, and finished for extra softness and comfort. It has 300 thread count sateen. It's filled with 100% cluster microfiber. It's hypoallergenic, lofty, all-weather weight. So it's perfect if I want to take a nap during the day and it's warm out, that it'll still be nice and comfortable and not too hot. And I got the Queen, which is awesome because the blanket I was using the past 3 years on this bed was a twin. So it's like, no, not cutting it. It says 18889 Fluffy. That's their phone number. So it's supposed to just like pillow out. This back is really neat. You can like put it back in there and take it on sleepovers or take it camping. It's really put together well. Eventually, I do want to get a duvet cover for it. For now, it'll be okay. I could always put the flat sheet over it during the day. It's kind of keep it protected from, you know, if it gets messy or animals and everything with fur. Alright, how is this going to expand? I feel like I should like stand back. But it expands. They said. It's expanding. Maybe if I flatten it out. back from parties or from school and just collapse on her bed, just jump and just sink right into it. Because I slept over her house a lot. And this brings back memories, this feeling. I also slept in a really comfortable bed in Paris. This beautiful hotel right across the street from the Louvre. And I just remember just talking about it the whole next day, how I couldn't wait to go back to the French cloud in my hotel room, to go back to sleep, because it was an amazing sleep. I just got the best rest when I was there. And even though I was jet lagged, I still felt really refreshed when I woke up. I think they had fluffy pillows like this too. Maybe they weren't down, because down is usually like kind of like you dip into it. This has a little more sturdiness to it. And I would also like to get a down alternative mattress topper to give it that extra little squish on top of your mattress. I know not a lot of people like not a lot of people like soft mattresses. They prefer firm, but I kind of prefer a soft mattress. That's just what I like. I had a futon for like 2 years, which was not my style of bedding. It was also in a room that was painted like really powdery blue, like lighter than this, and the ceilings were really high in it, and I just felt it was really atmospheric and like cold. And it was also a really old house. It was built in 1776, so it was like actually literally drafty, but it just felt really icy. And even though I put artwork on the wall, it just felt too like sterile and just cold. So I would sleep in the living room a lot, which was painted bright red when we moved in there. And the couch in the living room was more soft and comfortable than the futon in my room. So that's where I used to take a lot of naps and sleep out there when my roommates weren't hanging out or if they didn't have company. And that room at school, it had a fireplace in it. It wasn't working, but I put candles in it, and that room was the original part of the house that was built in 1776. All the other parts of the house were built in different time periods, but my room was like the cabin. So the fireplace was where they cooked their food, and it was just everybody camped out like in that one room, and then everything else, the house got built on top of it. And there was apple trees in the yard, and we had a big garden, and there was woods in the back where there's this little hidden gazebo in the middle of the woods. The town was called New Hempstead, and the landlord lived next door. He rented out the house. It was like this huge farmhouse. What did they call it? They called it Munchkin House or Midget House. I think the Munchkin House, because the doors were very low in it. But I I never noticed because I'm a little short. Well, I'm average, I'm like 5'4", but when tall boys would come over, they'd have to duck. And so it got rented out to musicians and artists and college kids just throughout like 10 years. So it's just known in my area as like a dwarf house. I can't remember the name. But so I had this joke that the town was called New Hempstead. So that means that the founders were hemp farmers. And that the ghost that haunted the house, they had a pact with the landlord that they would be peaceful if he agreed to rent out the house to musicians, so that the musicians would come and smoke pot, and that the ghosts would join in on the smoke sessions, so they could, still party in the afterlife. And yeah, so that was my theory on why the landlord rented out this big, beautiful, cool old farmhouse to kind of rambunctious musicians and artists. There's even like a recording studio upstairs that was built in years ago. So the landlord, this older guy, was like, yeah, come on in, come check it out. There's this big new recording studio for all musicians. Bring over your musician friends. I was on to him. It was a trap for us to smoke up those ghosts. I figured it out. And then I went through a phase where, actually this is before that house, where I didn't have a bed at all. Well, that was a couple times, but this one time in my life I didn't have a bed and I didn't even have a real room. I was crashing with my cousin and I was sleeping on the floor in the dining room in another big party house, and I couldn't even be like the dude on the couch because there was usually like a dude on the couch. It was like this L-shaped wraparound couch, and they partied lots, so it was usually somebody crashing over there, or I just stayed in this little zone in the dining room. And I just learned to be a really deep sleeper in that house. It's funny how the body just adjusts to whatever situation you're in, because right now I'm kind of like a light sleeper, but I could sleep through so much back then. There was one morning when I woke up, I looked down, and there was like white sheetrock all over my little blanket. And I looked up, and my cousin James was spackling the wall. And I was like, what's going on? What happened? And he was like, I have no idea how you slept through all that. It turned out that there was these two guys. It's kind of a long story, but their friend was in jail, and that guy's girlfriend would hang out with them. They were kind of like in Pulp Fiction, John Travolta's character, where they would hang out with her and keep an eye on her and make sure she stayed safe and stayed out of trouble. This girl Joey, and it turned out that these two boys fell in love with her, and they were whole thing. It happened right next to me. And so I was sleeping in the dining room, and I almost moved to California when I was living there, but it fell through. And this opportunity opened up to move in with my friend from work. She had a 3-bedroom apartment, and she was from Arizona, and she moved with her 2 friends from high school, this boy and a girl. And her friend, the girl, wanted to move back to Arizona, so she asked me if I wanted to move in, and she didn't want to take any of her things with her. And she offered me a bed with a mattress, a nice headboard from IKEA, and a dresser, and a nightstand, and a TV with a DVD player. I didn't have any of this. And a big, like, sliding closet with, like, mirrors on it. Like a big, fancy, big sliding closet. So I scored. It was a fully furnished room to myself. And I got it all for $200. And they thought it was really funny that I was so excited to have a door again. It's like you kind of take it for granted that you have this opportunity to kind of just go into your own little world that I didn't have for a while. And I was really excited about having it. But then I also wasn't really used to using one. So in their house, they would go into the room and shut the door all the time. I guess they were very private people. But I always had my door open. And I was at the end of the hall, like next to the bathroom, so we was walking by. And they'd be like, why is your door open? I'm just used to kind of having an open space. It's like a open door policy. I like people coming in and out and saying hi. I've always preferred living with a lot of people than living by myself. I do better just all around. I enjoy it. I like community living. And this is a serious upgrade from my other blanket. It's always interesting to see your own timeline where things go up and down, but it's always a reflection of appreciation for when, things get a little rough, and then you really appreciate when things get really comfortable and the way that you envision your living situation to be. So it's step by step, little bit at a time. Even though it's small steps, as long as it's in the right direction, then it's still progress, even though it's small. And one more story before I go. The house I was living with my cousin James, it was at the end of this long driveway. It was like this long driveway, and on either side of the driveway was swamp with cattails, and tiger lilies would bloom in the spring. And my roommates would joke that you could sit on the front porch and catch dinner, because it was just this big, like, bog right off the lawn. And it was a cool house, even though I was sleeping in the dining room, because right behind it was this big huge park with a lake and this big water fountain shooting up in the middle of the lake, and there was this hiking trail where there was a lot of joggers, and right in the backyard, like 4 feet from the backyard, there's this beautiful little stream, and that was my window in the dining room, so I would always hear the bubbling brook right outside my window. And I would go out into the woods and go over this little wooden bridge and go into the park, and I would take Philo with me, my big panda cat, like a big black and white cat, and so I would go with Philo to the park, and I would sit on the park bench and read my book, and Philo would just sit next to me, like right on the little bench. And whenever a jogger would come by, or someone with their dog, he would go into the woods, and as soon as the coast was clear, I would do a special whistle to let him know that the coast was clear, and he would come running back and come sit next to me on the bench, or sometimes he would sit by my feet. And I would even do that whistle when I was at the house and I wanted to like call him in from the woods if it was time to eat, or if I just want him to come home. I don't think I could do the whistle quietly, but it was like that. And he was an outdoor cat then, because I just gave up with all the people coming in and out of the house. But now he's an indoor cat, except I take him for walks on a leash, or I let him go into my yard now when I'm watching him, because it's fenced in. But he really likes like walking on his leash, but I don't let him go out anymore. He's too delicate. And while I was living there, I succeeded in finishing a master plan that ordinarily gets overlooked. Like, you know, when you get really lofty and kind of extravagant ideas when you're baked or buzzed, and they never really happen, they never go into motion. But I was determined to make this idea happen. I drew out a little diagram and I got all my friends involved in it. The idea was to get a kiddie pool and tie a big rope around it, then take the rope and anchor it to a big rock in the stream, because the stream was like this deep sometimes. You can wade through it if you rolled your pants up to your knees. And we made it happen. We went to Toys R Us and we got the kiddie pool. It was on sale, and everybody got together, looked at my little diagram, my blueprints, anchored it in, and it was awesome. We would go out there and you could sunbathe, and you could go out there at night and just drink beers and hang out. You could sit like tons of people, and it felt like a big waterbed. It was so comfortable. But then, alas, one day it popped and we never got another one. But I think that more people that live next to little rivers should look into getting a kiddie pool and tying it to the rock, because it's awesome. So that was a really nice memory, and getting to be bedtime for me soon. I just have to test something out first before I go to bed. Okay, we just have to make sure that Yoda likes a new blanket. Let's see. What do you think, Yoda? Oh. What do you think? Oh, he's sleepy. He just woke up. How do you like a blanket? It's nice and fluffy. And it's nice and warm. This is Yoda's. He's really tired. This is Yoda's winter coat. It's like a sleeping bag for him when he wears it. He gets super toasty and sleepy right away whenever I put it on him. What do you think? You like it? Yeah. He's gonna love it. It's gonna be really warm and really comfortable.